Now, the problem I think with Hollywood is they don't realize their movies are hurting America, right? Either. See, when you make movies, right, even of people going into space and the state, right, they're not going to believe we really went to the moon, especially the Muslims, right? You're hurting our own credibility with the Muslim race, because Muslim people, because their prophet Muhammad said we'll never go to the moon, right? Well, when you do all these movies, right, in outer space, pretending it's outer space, right, they're not going to believe we really went to the moon because their prophet said we wouldn't, right? Even if we did, right? don't you see what you're doing that, right? You're ruining by all this fictional stuff, the real stuff we're doing, right? At the same time, right? Plus, nobody really knows what to believe anyway half the time, right? Then you got science questioning religion, religion questioning science. No one's really on the same team, right? And the thing is, you could know something to a point, but you could also be mistaken, right? And then you're teaching a lie in religion, right? Acting like that's the truth, and you don't know. See, that's the confusion something wants us to feel confused about. And it don't want us to see the real truth, right? And a lot of people play into this role of playing God like it did, right? To us, when you're a man, right? The problem is the creature ain't recognizing itself as the creature and trying to be like the thing that made it, right? You know, some of you pretend you're the moon, the sun, and the stars. No, that which made us is, right? See, we're all in it, the sun, the moon, and the stars, right? But the little bit that's in us that keeps us alive, right, that's called God, right? Too, but you're not God just because you're the creature it made in its image, right? As a human representation of it, but it's still God and you're its creature. You even have a lifespan like other creatures, right? Though that's because one of the creatures tricked us into doing something bad with it, right? And eating. And like I told you, even if it's eating of a fruit tree, it sounds like the creature too ate of the same fruit tree and it did the same thing to him, right? You got to think about it, right? Why did the tree of life tell you not to eat of it, right? Someone's talking to this man, right? And eating it, right? It's telling him not to do certain things. And it's also interacting with him, right? And something else is interacting with him later on, right? Trying to get him to do the bad thing he's not supposed to do, right? Do you understand the point of the story, though? He did it anyway, right? Whatever it was he wasn't supposed to do, he did anyway, right? Even if it was of something that would kill him slowly over time, right? Now, you've heard of that, though, right? If you eat something that's bad for you, over time it'll kill you, right? We're all doing that now. But it's because one creature died first, right? And this is why the voice is telling him, or the word, whatever you want to call it, right? You became as one of us to know good and evil. What do you think that means, crazy, right? One of them also ate of that tree and it killed him too, right? And you're not listening, right, to it. Now, if it was the fruit of his body, that's something different, entirely different, right? And would explain why we're so promiscuous and sexually active. And some of us are afraid of sex, some of us are into sex, and some of us don't even know what to do with it. And go back and forth between the male and the female. Some people rape you into it, right? Because they know you're this or they know you're that, right? And some people won't let you change your mind, even if you do, right? You know, that's another problem. You can't change your mind. You gotta be this way or that way. I know. You're either gay or straight. You either like sex with men or sex with women, right? You can't like both, probably. That would make you bi, right? But bi ain't any different than straight or gay, right? It just means you can be with us and not bother you, right? Mm-hmm. Now, Paul said something interesting, though, in Romans 14. If you don't eat a certain type of meat, or meat at all, I'm not to offend you and offer you meat at a function I have. I'm to let you eat vegetables, for example, right? But if I make meat for my friends who do eat meat, you don't have to get upset with them and those who eat meat either. No, right? It's the same process to cut up some vegetables as it is to cut up an animal and feed somebody meat, right? From that animal. You're getting it from a plant or a source, which is the animal's body, right? For instance, if you're eating meat or vegetables, right? Now, like the pig, for example, some people eat pork and some people don't, right? Why? Because it's a good meat to them, right? Now you gotta cook it because the tapeworm's up to a certain temperature, or it's gonna mess you up, like Herod the Great, right? Or whatever his name was, right? He died from being infested with worms, right? Well, he was a Jewish man eating probably properly prepared pork, right? The thing about that is it causes what's called tapeworms. And what tapeworms do is they eat the food and nutrients you're eating, so you don't get none, right? You don't really get the nutrients from it, right? And it kills you over time, right? See, we don't know why we're dying either. Well, my theory, like I told you, is that the creature that we became as to know good and evil with it, right, also died from eating of the same tree, idiot. Think about it. How did the other being know not to eat of this tree? Well, the other being did, and it killed him. Tubby, all right. Don't you think? And it told you not to eat of it either, right? But you didn't listen, did you? No. And you done ate of it, right? When it went off somewhere and came back, right? It also didn't tell you what would come back. It just took what's called a sabbatical or a day of rest. Right. And by the time it's getting back, you done messed up, right? You're naked and ashamed all of a sudden, too. That don't suggest you bit into a piece of fruit only. That suggests it went maybe into something sexual with this other being, right? That you were left behind with, right? Now, two things have to happen for something to die. It's got to be exposed to something that can kill it in the first place, right? And say like drowning in water, right, for example, would kill anything, right? As would a stake through the heart, like with a vampire, right? That's why you can't drive a stake through somebody's heart, whether they're alive or a vampire, right? Because if it's a living person, you're going to kill them. And if it's a vampire, you would kill them. You see what I mean? That's called an oxymoron, right? That's something that if you do, you're really murdering someone either way, right? And that's why it's crazy to do that to anyone, right? Let alone a corpse or a real vampire, right? Because that would kill even a mortal man, right? And it's a stupid thing to do to somebody, right? Alive or dead, right? You see what I mean, right? I like that because it was in a movie I watched about vampires. I forgot the name of it. But anyway, it made a point to me, though, right? That if you drive a stake through somebody's heart, whether they're a vampire or not, it'll kill them too, right? Because you're all mortal, right? Dummy. Whatever we did, though, we're mortal now. We have what's called a lifespan. And I think Moses said you might have up to 120 years, right? Well, are we living up to 120 years? Not a lot of people. Not a lot of people. We're hoping Betty White will. She's already close to 100. Maybe she'll make it to 120 yet, so. Those who are her fans, right? Maybe longer, we don't know. We don't know. But again, right, like I said, right, I don't know some of the things you're talking about, like racism, right? To me, the N word, the only place I heard it is the movies, right? Do you know what I mean? Right. The cop in the movie is calling Eddie Murphy the N-word, right? And Eddie ain't really acting like it's a bad word to call him. I don't know, right? But if I'm exposed to it that way, right, I'm not going to know why it's a bad word, right, to them, right? I don't know about slavery, right? I wasn't here then, right? I don't have a clue what you're talking about, right? But you do, or they do, or somebody does, right? I've heard of it, right? But it don't mean I really understand it like you do, right? All I know is it's used in comedy on black people, right? So I won't think it's a funny word to use around you. I'm not going to do it the same way, but I might not knowing better, not knowing better. See, my perspective is naive, right? I don't know it's a bad word to you, right? But I hear people use it in the movie, so I think, oh, well, I can use it too, right? And if I use it on you, I'm doing it that way, like I learned to do it in the movies, right? You need. You need, right? Because that's what Nick Nolte's character would call Murphy's character, right? So I thought it was part of the plot. And again, right, though I know the Christians say you're not supposed to use certain words anyway, but that's because you could use them. But there again, it's also censorship to do that, right? Why can't I say the word F-U-C-K if it means the same thing as fornication, right? They mean the same thing, hypocrite. That's what a hypocrite is. They'll tell you you can't use this word, but you can use that word, right? That's hypocritical, right? The word means the same thing, right? I think it's what's called an acronym, right? It's supposed to mean fornication, unlawful carnal knowledge, right? Well, if you're with a woman you're not supposed to be with, I guess that's what that is, right? Exactly. So that makes you hypocritical of the word F-U-C-K versus the word fornication, right? That makes you a hypocrite. Because what? They mean the same thing in essence, right? They're talking about the same subject matter, having sex with someone you're not supposed to have sex with. But who is that? I don't know. Like I said, my dating rules might have been different from Sheena's dating rules, which is what I think was the problem there, right? My dating rules, I was learning I could do whatever I wanted to with a woman as long as she didn't say no during the sex, right? Well, her dating rules, I guess, were different because she freaked out as I kept writing her and telling her certain things, right? Talking about going to motel rooms with her and if I got her pregnant, right? Maybe she didn't even think we had sex. I don't know, right? But we did. From my perspective, but if she wanted oral sex, she didn't say so, right? Nor did she act like she didn't mind sex. I know. And she also said her dad tried to have sex with her. But there again, I'm a young man, not her dad, right? Right. I don't know what that means, when you talk about that, right? Right. Mm-hmm. What are you saying, right? What does that mean, right? I've heard of that being possible, but hopefully you didn't get you pregnant or stuff like that, right? You know what I mean, right? And hopefully that was a long time ago, too, when we met, right? And that you were single and wanting to date somebody who wouldn't judge you for that, right? Because that's not your fault. That's the man who did that to you. So, like Jonas Meyer said, the man is wrong to do that, yes, but he's still a man who can repent of it and do the right thing and repent and go back to God, right? At the same time, too, right? So, again, and so am I, right? You're not telling me, Shane, I only want oral sex with you, or you to lick me, or I'm waiting for marriage. I understand those statements when I first met you, right? So I don't know what your situation was, right? And that's what I mean. I thought you were open to premarital sex, like I was, right? By that time, I was exposed to a lot of sexual things that I didn't even get to talk to you about yet in the letters either. Including the pastor of the church I was going out to was wanting to jerk off with his other men who weren't married. He's doing one thing with his wife, but another thing with the men. Especially if they're single, right? Which I thought was kind of hypocritical too, but I don't know. I don't know. You know what I mean? Right. Who am I to judge, right? But at the same time, right, I know you're not supposed to do that with another man because what happened with Shane Sanders and the camp counselor, right? Which was still weird, right? Now, I know me and Shane were interested in the same girl, but what I'm wondering is, did I say the same thing to her? We and her did something, and Shane caught us and attacked me, right? And I said, well, I'm just making love to her, right? And knocked me out or something, right? I know. And that's what they were acting out, what I was doing with her with the camp counselor, though, right? I don't know. I don't know. I just know something's going on weird, right? Exactly. But I do know I survived the attack and came to and whatever, was dressed and went back to the bungalow or whatever, right? We were staying in, right? But that's all weird, ain't it? Right? Sexually. Even the cousin thing, like I said, I went to sleep before him, but I don't even know when he came in, right? But then he's trying to pull I'm gay by the morning, right? Which, like I said, the only thing you could do or think of is you had a wet dream, right? If you know what those are. And a wet dream ain't sexual towards the person you're humping if they come to bed with you later on. What you're really doing is you're humping someone in your dream life, right? And it has nothing to do with that person sleeping next to you, right? So it's called a wet dream. And it's not conscious, Chris. Yes, I knew the night before you were coming in, but it's not about you when I'm already asleep, right? It's about a girl I probably saw that day that I thought was cute but couldn't have sex with it then, right? And that's kind of what it's about, right? Not you. It's not personal, right? It's not because I even knew when you came in or not, right? And even if you partially wake someone up in a wet dream, they can also stop for a minute and then go back to it later on, right? It's a dream, Chris. It can happen at least, they say, 4 or 5 times a night, right? And you don't even know you're doing it. You just up in the bed. Right, right? These are things they tell you in school, but you don't really understand either, right? You don't know what they talk about. But let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. That's what I mean, right? Let's talk about it down and dirty. Down and dirty. Right. Well, the male apparatus goes into the female apparatus, which is a hole in her body, right? That gets lubricated as he goes inside of her, right? Right? Talk all scientific about it. Whatever. And now we're all confused about religion, science, and all this stuff, right? Was Jesus real even? People really could hate on Jesus sometimes, right? And all the man did was live, 2,000 years ago. What do we know about it now but what the guys who were around him wrote about it, right? And even John tells you, hey, we didn't write it all down. Are you hearing him? Right. No, you're ignoring him, right? He himself told you we ain't writing everything he did down, right? Some of it we're leaving out for posterity's sake, right? We didn't even understand half the stuff he was doing. What he's saying, right? But maybe he had sex with the woman at the well. Mm-hmm. It sounds like to me, if no Jew normally talks to a Samaritan, and he thinks he's the Messiah, and he read about Jacob and Rachel meeting at the damn well. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm a smart man, right? I meet this woman and she had 5 husbands and a lover, but she's still single, right? Kinda, right? And having problems conceiving. Mm-hmm. If I read Isaiah 4:1, right, and me and her are interacting well, I'm not going to be like Jacob. I'm going to be like Isaac. I'm going to recognize her as a possible bride, right? And I go to sleep with her that night, right? I'm not going to wait around the bush, right? Or beat around the bush, right? See, when you do that, you get in trouble like with Rachel, Abraham and Sarah, and Isaac and Rebecca. Those three got into all kind of mess, right? Because of infertility problems, right? They had back then, right? We're dealing with the same thing now, right? Well, again, right? What's the problem? We don't know. We don't know. Right? We're all guessing. The same with weight. The same with this. The same with that, right? We're trying to kill each other as fast as we can, too, right? That's what I felt like, right? I know. I'm just trying to find a girlfriend, have sex sometimes not, right? All right. And I've been dealing with guys who think I'm cute and coming on to them, too, right? When I'm trying to be with a girl, right? Like I said, that happened once. That I know of or remember, kind of, right? But the problem is he was piggybacking the girl, of course. Now, you piggyback someone and she's up on your back, right? And I'm short as tall as you. Don't I have to jump up to get to her? Yeah. Yeah. That's what I was trying to do, right? Not him, not him. Right. And then he got all gay on me, right? I mean, really. He pretended I was trying to get him and not her. That's when it got embarrassing. So I laughed, right? Hell, what the fuck you talking about, man? Right? She's on your back. She's up higher. I'm kind of same height as you, right? I ain't trying to get you. I'm trying to get her. Right? But she's higher up on your back, man. Right. So I'm kind of having to jump, right? And I ain't really hard, man. Either, right? Nope. I know. Again, that's the point, right? Now, as far as I know, I just left and went on home, right? Because I left the scene because he was acting a little, flirty, right? So I just left, right? I don't know if nothing else happened. I don't know if the girl came back or if we did anything or not, but that's all I remember, too, right? So if we did, how long would it take? 5-10 minutes, right? And then what happened, right? I don't know, right? I'll go home eventually, right? At some point, right? And that's all I know I could have done, right? And then part of it, I'm making up as a hypothetical, like with the stepdaughter issue. Well, I'm sleeping on the couch. Well, they're in the bedroom. What do you want me to do, right? Now, of course, I'm not saying she came in there at all. You are. Mm-hmm. What do you think I'm explaining to you, right? I'm asleep on the couch, fool. If my stepdaughter would have come in there to wake me up, I would have to bring her back to her mom. I don't have a choice, right? Even if her mom left me stranded in Tennessee, you don't hurt the little girl cause that, right? I know better than that. You don't, right? It's not the girl's fault. It's the mom's fault. You don't spite someone, right? Just because the child came in there to you or something, right? You bring her back to her mom. No. Now, if she does and you're trying to help her pee or something, that's different too, or take a shower. Well, the person seems to act like they know I did something, and I'm trying to figure out what they could be confused about if I was to do something. They might look kind of sexual, but it's not sexual. You know what I mean, right? Because, see, it could also be misconstrued something I was trying to do as a step parent versus the real parent, but still within the realm of possibility I could have done, right? Only thing I can think of is if she came in there and acted like she needed to pee, I'd pull her down her panties right there in the living room, actually, so she could walk to the toilet. See, I wouldn't even think about it that way, right? You know what I mean? I'm just, reacting to her, right? I don't know if she's in there with me, she's going to have to walk to the toilet, and I got to take her panties off, and so she can walk to the toilet, right? Things like that, right? Which I'm generally making that up, right? Too, right? I know. Right. Because I don't know what you're talking about, right? Daphne never said nothing in 11 years of our divorce, right? Including the year it took the divorce, right? So by 2005, I'm doing these blogs on YouTube, and films and all that anyway, right? See, right? And we're all trying to figure out the truth. The problem is you get in groups and clumps and you try to pretend you're believing the same thing. You're probably not even then. Let's be honest. You're trying to believe something similar, but you're probably wrong, right? Is the biggest thing I think you have a problem with, from the Jews to the Christians to Muslims. I know. And you want people mainly for defense, right? If you have a group, like Jesus talks about the lamb going astray and the 99 sheep and leaving the 99 to go after the one, why would you do that, right? Well, a group of sheep is safer from a wolf than one lamb, right? You need to get that one lamb back because the wolf is already hunting it, right? Right. But some of you are wolves in sheep's clothing. What does that mean, right? You don't even care if the whole flock gets caught by the wolf, right? In fact, you would probably leave a few of the sheep into the wolf, to the wolf, right? While the shepherd's out looking for the other sheep, right? That's what it means too, right? The shepherd either has to, again, stay with the flock, which has 99 sheep. Well, the wolf can't eat 99 sheep, but he can eat one. Real good. That's the whole point to it all. Don't you think? Don't you think? And see, when you mix religion with hatred, you get something kind of monster religion, right? See, if Constantine was hating some of the things the Christians were doing, right, and didn't agree with it, he messed that religion all up. But trying to make everybody agree does not mean they're right. In what they agree to. And then they tried to determine which books were allowed and which books weren't. Right? That's bull. That's bull. They all are dealing with something from the Bible. Mm-hmm. Even the Gnostics were dealing with the Gnostic Paul in the Bible. Mm-hmm. And the Orthodox were dealing with the Orthodox Paul in the Bible because he comes from both systems, right? He was raised a Pharisee, so he's obviously an Orthodox Jew, right? But he also was exposed to Christianity, which talks about knowing Jesus as your God, right? Or the one sent from God to be the servant of servants, right? Which you don't really understand as well, Christians, because you're trying to make him equal to God. When no man can be equal to God, right? It's a spirit. But even if Jesus is trying to be as God, he's still not claiming to be God, right? Though Thomas said, my Lord and my God, right? To you, he's greater than you. Yeah, you can call him a God in that aspect, right? And that he's the firstborn of every creature, right? And can metamorph into 3 other beings, right? You can't, right? Mm-hmm. And the greater, though, serves the lesser with Christ. With men, the lesser serve the greater, which is our sin, right? See, if you got money, you're supposed to help those who don't, not the other way around. Those who don't got money can't pay those who do, unless those who do share the money, right? And give the little to the poor, right? But y'all don't even want to give 1 to 5% today, right? Definitely not 10, right? That would have to be based upon the population of Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Why? Because Abraham was asking God if he could find so many people righteous that he would spare the city, right? That's a totally different topic there, right? Plus, how many people are actually in the city? Over 100, right? Well, if you find 10 righteous out of that whole group, right, that's not 10% of the whole group that's righteous, right? That's really less than 10%, right? That's really more favorable for you if you could find 10, right? By the way, too, right? Not less, right? But only 4, Lot, his wife, and his 2 daughters, were willing to really help the angels, right? And not harm them, right? Which is also part of the story. The other men were trying to break down the door to force them to come out to know them, right? And we think that includes sexually as well. Mm-hmm. Or if it was a male and a female as well, we don't know that either. It could have been a couple. Mm-hmm. A man and a woman that went to the city. Now, my theory is Gabor is the androgynous image, Ish is the male image, and Yolda is the female image of God, right? It's in 3 images, not 2, right? But we're stuck into, because we had sexual being that was in the first image, right? It kind of nullified us being able to go back and forth, right? Which is called morphine, which Jesus morphed twice, before the cross and after the cross, right? He morphed into 2 other people who were not only with him, but talking to him, right? Now, this is also why I'm paranoid about what Peter did if he found out Jesus was female, right? From John. He might have even tried to burn his body in Gehenna, right? Which was their dump to burn even the sacrifices, right? But he would have to do it from midnight to 4. Mm-hmm. And then Mary went to the tomb and couldn't find the body, right? But then she saw him later on, right? Even if Peter burnt the body. What does that have to do with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the fiery furnace, right? And the angel that ascended in the fiery furnace, and the sacrifice of Samson's parents, right? Both of those are tied into John's gospel. Right. But you have to be willing to see it. And then in Hebrews, he talks about the animals being sacrificed, but their bodies were burnt outside the camp, right? That's where I'm getting all this from. And it's all from the scriptures, too, right? They might have even tried to burn his body if they found out he was both died, never raised from the wrong effigies, right? I know. See, they didn't really understand all that about him, right? So, of course, Peter might be going back to where it said to burn a witch, right? If Christ is female. He's a witch. He's a witch. Uh-oh. Which would be his mistake. Now, what I'm saying, though, is even if he did, the spiritual Christ could then ascend into heaven and then reassume his humanly form, right? By removing the body 100%, though, right, by burning it, right, you made it free for the blood and all that stuff in Christ to re-manifest himself into the angel of the Lord that went before Israel, right? I know. And again, he came back down, right? And started visiting with Mary first, Magdalene, right? And then Mary went and got his mother, right? And that's when they touched him, right? Because at first he told Mary, don't yet touch me, don't yet touch me, right? You're misreading that too, right? It's not that she couldn't touch him at all, right? It's not yet touch me, right? When you read it that way, it means something different than, don't touch me, baby. I'm not ascending to the heaven. Yeah. One means one thing and one means another, right? But if they held him by his feet, they obviously touched him after that. So, not yet touch me makes more sense, right? And if you read the actual passage, it does use the word yet. Not yet touch me, right? And then it clears up Matthew where they both held him by his feet, Mary and his mother, right? The mother of James and Josie as well. Right. Now, this is so the Catholics don't get confused that Mary had children with Joseph, right? But they might be a little argumentative about it for 1,700 years or 1,500 years whenever they started coming up with that doctrine. Another problem is fake doctrines within the church. How do you know what's real or fake? Well, Mary was never reported to ascend into heaven, but Jesus did. But Jesus was also male and female. So in a way, we all are in heaven with Jesus, and yet we're not, too, right? Because as many of us has been baptized into Christ, we put on Christ, right? And by one Spirit we're all baptized into one body, whether Jew or Gentile, bond or free, male and female, right? That's two, right? Or one. Now the hermaphrodites here also bear the image of God, causes the sin and even again, possibly being a sexual sin, or definitely being a sexual sin, right? Because who gave the angels the idea? Another angel or Satan himself? Satan himself. He's the original rebel angel that all the other angels envied. So by Genesis 6, they're seeing that the daughters of men are attractive, right? Beautiful women, right? And they want to have sex with them. As many as they chose, too, right? See, what I'm doing is I'm trying to let the women choose me and wait on the right woman, right? What they did was any woman they wanted to have sex with, they talked them into having sex with them. That's more demonic, okay, than Adam and Eve, who had to wait for God to divide them into two before they could have sex. And once he did that, they had sex with only each other until the fall. Mm-hmm. Then Satan used his body to trick Eve first, and then Eve, Adam, I don't know. And I told you how, right? See, Adam probably didn't walk around with the heart on, but Satan showed Eve his penis with a heart on. So she thought it was a serpent in the tree, right? She didn't know what it was, right? But it looked like a serpent head, right? Or a worm, or a lizard, or an eel, right? You know what I mean, right? If you ever seen one in real life. Of course, I got one. I just didn't know I was circumcised for a while. Not even when I went to the Jewish services on base. Right? So if he had checked, I guess I would have been all right. I just didn't know what it meant, right? To be circumcised even sometimes, right? And that's called lack of understanding or being naive about something. See, if I'm not seeing nothing derogatory about the word Nigger and I use it on you, it might be because I saw it in movies and I'm not using it in the same term, right, as someone who wouldn't be watching those movies would use it, right? See, if I think it's funny or I think it's part of comedy, I'm not trying to insult you. I think it's a funny word. I don't know better. I don't know it means something derogatory either, because whoever wrote the script had Eddie Murphy to act like it was all right for Nick Nolte to call him that, right? So I don't know. It's not okay to call you that, right? I don't know better sometimes, right? No one's telling me these things are wrong or why they're wrong. I don't know. So like I said, it's like, I know why I'm not supposed to sleep with a 4-year-old, but like a 15-year-old, you might contribute into sleeping with her. Especially if I think she looks 37 and she's an Asian girl, right? But I don't try to just anybody, right? I'm trying to wait too, right? And only if she shows real interest could it go beyond that into sex. But I also know we can't do it in salons, so we have to go to the bathroom, right? And there's nowhere else you can do it. There's nowhere else you can do it in the whole shop, right? And I remember the setup of the whole shop, even though I was only there 3 days, right? I know. So I keep telling her too, right? Whoever's arguing with me about it right now, right? No, you didn't. No, I didn't. But it wouldn't be perfect memory, but I remember some of it. Just not all of it, right? Because certain parts ain't even a crime of it, and certain parts can be considered wrong, but that all depends, right? Also, when she tried to bite me out with it, right? If she did. And though, like I said, all I could do is forgive you for not understanding what I'm saying. Well, I don't understand why you even did that with me. If you want to do that with me, you can do it with me. If you don't want to, you don't have to, right? Which is all I'm saying, too, right? But okay, y'all figure something out.